You may ask, what book of the Bible should I start with in the beginning of the new year? This is the last day of the year, 2025, or rather 2024, excuse me. 2025 being tomorrow. And I think about that myself. Where should I start? I always start with the book of Genesis, and more than likely the book of John. But as time goes by and the months slip away, I always find myself getting lost and sometimes discouraged because, in particular, the Old Testament, I get really lost in just the wording, if that makes any sense. And I just go back to my favorite books. And frankly, I've never read the Bible in its entirety. I never have. And so here I go again, and my encouragement to you, because I'm sure there's many of you who are in the same boat. I encourage you to start with the Genesis account in the Old Testament and the book of John in the New Testament. Genesis, there's some key verses that I wanted to point out, and that's the creation account in Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Verse 1. Verse 4, God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness, which is pretty significant because right in the beginning, he has separated lightness from darkness. And I think of, good and evil. And then verse number 26, then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. And so God made us, mankind, in the likeness of his image for his glory. And it's good to read Genesis at least once a year to remind us of what God has done in his creation, in creating us, and why are we even here? And that's to glorify him. Then the book of John, which is the account of Jesus and his message to humanity. Of course, verse 1, in the beginning, again, and it's interesting how Genesis 1 and John 1 start with in the beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then, of course, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave of his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That's why Christ came, so that we may live with him forever. And then last is John 14:27, and I think I committed this to memory. And I think it might have been in the King James version, but I might be off by a few words. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives do I give unto you. And then, of course, he says, let not your hearts be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So these are encouraging verses to start with for the new year, to recalibrate and reset our Christian walk. Some of us have not started well. I know I haven't. But we can finish well and start the new year off on the right track. Because some of us will have New Year resolutions for fitness, finances, you name it. But the most important thing is to start with the goal. And I don't like using resolutions because they're meant to be broken, I believe. Most of us don't keep them. but just to resolve to make it a goal to know more about God, to know more about Christ. And so these two books, Genesis and John, is a great place to start. If you guys have favorite books in the Old Testament and New Testament, then start there. It's dynamic. There's no set way in starting, and there's endless Bible reading plans on the internet that you can find via apps or what have you. And so if you want to share in the comments below, what are your favorite books to start with? Or what is your way of starting and persevering and going through the Bible in its entirety if you have done so? Well, that's it for now. Until then, God bless. See you next year.